Hi everyone and welcome to the Arkham Seeker. Today I want to talk about one of the most interesting projects I've worked on in a long time, not just within board games but in general. Over the past few months, I've been developing my own campaign for Arkham Horror the card game, which I'm calling The Rising Tide. This campaign is my response to The Drowned City, the final official campaign before what was euphemistically dubbed Chapter 2. The Drowned City left a bad taste in my mouth. Frankly, it's poorly designed in several key areas, which I'll touch very briefly in this video, but only to explain what my campaign tries to achieve in a different way. Here's what we'll cover today. I'll explain what the Rising Tide is, both thematically and mechanically, without spoiling the story, just enough to show you what it offers and what it's trying to accomplish. For those of you who are interested or who become interested after watching this video, I'll also explain how you can actually play the campaign. It's completely free despite what I consider to be professional level quality. You'll be able to play it both digitally through Tabletop Simulator and as a physical print and play version. So first, let me explain what the Rising Tide actually is. The Rising Tide is my personal vision of a campaign centered on Cthulhu and the Drowned City of Arlaye. Essentially, what I believe the Drowned City should have been. The project started when I played that official campaign, and immediately after my blind playthrough, I realized that it fell far short of the game's potential. I actually made a video on my Spanish channel analyzing the main reasons why the Drowned City failed, breaking down its design mistakes and comparing them to the standards set by the truly great campaigns. I may even do an English version of that video in the near future, since it laid the foundation for this project. Today, I won't dive into what constitutes good or bad design, but I will mention the key aspects that make my campaign work and which pitfalls I deliberately avoided. Overall, The Rising Tide is a simpler, more conventional campaign, closer to Dunwich and Carcosa than to Hemlock Vale or the Drowned City. I also believe it's more faithful to the themes of cosmic horror. The Drowned City completely fails in that regard for many reasons, but mainly because of how it portrays Cthulhu as some massive tentacle creature that floods Arkham while the investigators heroically fight back with shotguns from rooftops, which is great if this was an action movie. But I think it's completely out of place with cosmic horror and the Cthulhu mythos. Before moving on, I want to emphasize that The Rising Tide is simply my personal vision of what a good Arkham campaign should be. I won't claim it's objectively the best thing ever made, but I can say that for me it is the best campaign. It's obvious, but for me it is. Just the process of testing and refining the campaign has given me way more enjoyment from Arkham Horror than what I've gotten from recent official campaigns. And I think that says a lot about the quality and engagement of both official campaigns and this project. So, let me highlight the main design principles that make this campaign work. Principles that are present in all successful Arkham campaigns. I won't elaborate too much on this since I already covered this in depth in my Spanish video, but I will mention three key aspects. first is mechanical elegance. The Rising Tide is built on mechanisms that are simple, proven, tested, and elegant. It follows the design philosophy of less is more. I think that one of the biggest traps that rookie and amateur designers fall into, and I believe that the recent Arkham designers have clearly fallen into this, is the complexity trap. When you create mechanisms that are too complex for the value they actually bring to the game, it doesn't work. You are over designing. In game design, less is more. You need to simplify. You need to remove everything that isn't critical and reduce the game to its essence. Second is the correlation between mechanics and theme. The use of game mechanics to create dynamics that reinforce the narrative themes. The Rising Tide centers on investigators pursuing forbidden knowledge and encountering entities beyond human comprehension. A recurring motif throughout the entire campaign is the investigators deciding to sacrifice their humanity for the greater good. And finally, there's the balance between player agency and narrative. I wanted to ensure that player choices matter throughout the entire campaign. Decisions that are both thematically meaningful and strategically significant. Through extensive alpha testing with different investigator groups, I fine-tuned each scenario to make sure that player decisions feel and are impactful while staying true to the campaign themes. I also wanted to bring back genuine long-term strategic planning, something that recent official campaigns have generally moved away from, and I never understood why. In those campaigns, the more recent campaigns, player agency, at least campaign level, often feels an illusion because the story tends to unfold mostly the same way regardless of your choices. I wanted to avoid that. In particular, I drew inspiration from Carcosa's doubts and convictions system, which became the foundation for the Rising Tide's main mechanical framework. On the other hand, I deliberately avoided the design mistakes of the Drowned City that can lead to frustrating player experiences. The most critical issue was over-design. The Drowned City includes several mechanics that are overly complex, at least relative to their payoff. Take the task system, for example. It creates an illusion of choice because the optimal decision is usually obvious. So that is not a meaningful decision, at least not something that meaningfully affects your strategy or tactics campaign-wide. It's just additional bookkeeping without significant decision making. If you remove or simplify these elements, would actually improve the campaign. Second is the disconnection between theme and mechanics. The most important one is the fact that the flood is mostly irrelevant throughout the campaign. You can usually ignore it, or at least it doesn't offer relevant decisions because they are obvious. I honestly don't understand how they managed to fail so hard in that aspect, because the InSmooth campaign, where the flood tokens were originally designed, did it way better because flooded locations truly changed your tactics. This helps to create that important connection between theme and mechanics, and the Drowned City fell flat in that regard. Finally, there's the lack of balance between player agency and theme. As I said before, Cthulhu is not a gigantic tentacular being that is heroically fought. No. It's an entity that transcends humanity, and its mere presence completely corrupts your mind. If that entity wakes up, the world ends. Period. It's not something you can fight. It's not even something you can run away from. If it wakes up, it's over. And if you somehow contact it, it corrupts your mind completely. You are no longer human. That is one of the basic principles of cosmic horror, which the entire game is supposedly based on. So, with those design principles in mind, meaningful player agency, mechanics that reinforce theme, and avoiding unnecessary complexity, let's dive deeper into the campaign itself. First, let's talk about the theme and setting that form the foundation of The Rising Tide. The story draws heavy inspiration from the Dunwich Legacy, the first official campaign of Arkham Horror LCG and still one of the most beloved ones. It all begins when Dr. Henry Armitage, a familiar face to those who played Dunwich, reaches out to the investigators asking for help with a matter that requires people he can trust. Over the past few weeks, strange phenomena have been occurring throughout Arkham. First, an oceanographer working at Kingsport Harbor has reported unusual tidal patterns, along with bizarre behavior from sailors who suddenly refuse to set sail. Meanwhile, in the academic world, multiple scholars are experiencing disturbing visions of impossible architecture, structures that defy Euclidean geometry and seem to exist outside of our normal understanding of space. Then, thematically, the campaign draws heavy inspiration from The Path to Carcosa. At its core, the story is about knowledge is power, but also about the danger of reaching too far. Getting close to the ancient ones means accessing knowledge that humanity was never meant to possess. Throughout the campaign, investigators will face a crucial choice: whether to embrace or reject forbidden knowledge. This will come in the form of artifacts and insights that point toward Cthulhu and the cosmic truths beyond human comprehension. Embracing this knowledge will bring you closer to understanding what Cthulhu truly is. But accepting that knowledge comes at a terrible price. It will irreversibly corrupt your psyche, transforming you in ways you can't undo. So that's the thematic foundation: forbidden knowledge, true cosmic horror, and the price of accessing forbidden knowledge. Now let's talk about how these themes translate into actual gameplay. Let's dive into the mechanics and characteristics that make The Rising Tide work. The only truly new and exclusive characteristic in Rising Tide is what I called the revelation level. This will be a tracker that you will have in the campaign log. You will be asked to do cross marks in a section of the campaign log, and will track how much the investigators have learned about Cthulhu's true nature. The revelation level will increase whenever you choose to embrace and assimilate forbidden knowledge, mainly through these artifacts and these insights we discussed earlier. If you keep the revelation level low, will mean that you won't fully understand what Cthulhu really is, but you will preserve your humanity and will remain relatively intact. However, a high revelation level will mean that you are approaching Cthulhu's cosmic truth, and this is much a double-edged sword. You will gain power and understanding, but it will come at a devastating cost to your sanity and to your very being. Then, beyond the revelation level, I've incorporated several proven mechanics and characteristics from existing official campaigns, mechanics that are simple, effective, and already familiar to veteran players. First, you have the flood tokens, which are placed on locations to indicate whether that location is flooded or not, and whether it is partially or fully flooded. This creates that dynamic terrains and changes your tactics on a strategy on how you navigate the locations on the map. Second, we have a couple vehicles, these assets that can move across the map, carrying investigators with them. They will offer mobility and will be useful at certain points in the campaign. Then you have elusive enemies from Hemlock Vale. These enemies that, when ready, after attacking or being attacked, will disengage and move away from the investigators. In fourth place, we have a patrol, which works identically to Hunter, but these enemies move towards a specific location defined by their patrol ability. And finally, we have Alert, which is like Retaliate, but triggers when you fail an evasion attempt against a ready enemy. So these were the core mechanics that will drive the campaign. Now, what I'm going to do is take a quick tour through the 8 scenarios in a very surface level, just to spark your interest without spoiling the experience. But before we dive into the individual scenarios, let me explain the campaign structure. The Rising Tide is divided into 3 separate acts. Act 1 consists of scenarios 1A and 1B, which can be played in any order, followed by scenario 2. This opening will set up the main mystery of the campaign, takes place mostly in Arkham, and will introduce the first signs of Cthulhu's awakening. Then Act 2 contains 3 scenarios, 3A, 3B, and 3C, and will be playable in any order. Besides, there's another catch that is also exclusive of this campaign. It's the fact that some of these scenarios will be locked, and you will have to unlock them by finding some things out, because in order to reach certain locations, maybe you need to know something on how to reach there or how to get into these locations. I have to say that it's pretty easy to unlock all 3. And finally, we have the Act 3, which is the campaign's climax, consisting on linear scenarios 4 and 5, bringing everything to its inevitable conclusion, and I hope with the decisions taken throughout the campaign being truly meaningful. At least for me, in my testings, they are relevant. So let's take a quick look, just one phrase on each scenario, so that you can you can grasp a tiny bit about each of them without spoiling anything relevant. First, we have scenario 1A, which is a simple, quick scenario, and will be particularly interesting if you play as a sailor character, because this scenario may have something that is more meaningful for a certain sailor. Then we have scenario 1B, which is a spiritual successor, let's put it that way, of the Midnight Masks and the Threads of Fate. An open investigation scenario in Arkham. You are racing against time, against a cult that is trying to take out time through doom, and a very open scenario overall. Then scenario 2 is one of the most ambitious ones and will test your sanity like no other scenario in this campaign and maybe in the entire game. This is where the psychological horror really begins to take hold. Probably one of the most intense scenarios and one of the most critical ones of the entire campaign. Then we have scenario 3A, which is the most original in my opinion, and the only one where I've truly tried to do something unique, something a bit more ambitious and different to everything that is already established. The card I'm showing at the right of the screen is a small hint of what it's trying to achieve, what it's trying to do. Then we have scenario 3B, which is my personal tribute to the Forgotten Age, which is my favorite campaign. I won't say it's the best. It has certain important flaws, but it's my subjective personal one, and I wanted to pay tribute to that campaign with this scenario 3B. It has a lot of has the exploration mechanic, the original one, not the return one. So any of you who like original Forgotten Age, you will probably like this scenario. Then scenario 3C is a bit special. It's very open-ended. There are many things you can do, but you won't have time to do everything you can do in this scenario. So a piece of advice: know your intentions when you enter this scenario. As soon as you see its structure, be aware that you won't have time to do everything that it offers. Then we have the climax of the campaign. Scenario 4 is one where I think your decisions and merits matter. They do as well in scenario 5, but in scenario 4, it's the first time that you will see the consequences of your decisions and merits. It will matter in this scenario. But I think not as much as in scenario 5, of which I don't want to say almost anything because it's very special. Mechanically, it's very simple. It has nothing really special, but in terms of story, yes, I think it has some special things. But I think they can be summed up in this question. How do you answer the call of Cthulhu? This is where all the strategy, all the decisions throughout the campaign truly matter. And you will see a very, very clear deviation in this scenario, in this finale, comparing with the official one. Nothing to do, and I think much more faithful to the cosmic horror. So that is The Rising Tide, the design philosophy, the themes, the mechanics, and a glimpse of each scenario. Now you are probably wondering, how can you actually experience this campaign? Well, there are two ways to play this campaign. Rising Tide is available in two formats. First, a physical print-and-play version and a digital version to play in Tabletop Simulator. That digital version is already available right now. At least today, as February of 2026, it's in beta status, but I think around March I will release the 1.0 version. To play this version, you just need Tabletop Simulator and ideally with the community module that implements Arkham Horror LCG. That will make setup and gameplay much smoother. You can download all the PNG card images directly from this video's description. So you have everything you need. You already have everything you need to get started. On the other hand, the physical version will be available later this year. But if you are watching this video from March 2026 onwards, it should already be available in the video description as well. You can print it at home, take it to a printworks if you want to play it physically. One thing to note is that you will need the float tokens from either Innsmouth Conspiracy or the Drowned City, or you can easily replace them with any kind of marker because it's very simple, has no complexity. Before finishing off, for those of you that want to play the digital version, let's briefly go into Tabletop Simulator so that I can explain how you can import the decks and use them in the community module for Arkham Horror LCG. Okay, here we are at Tabletop Simulator. I'll just briefly show you how you can import the Rising Tides files into the official, well, quoting official module of Arkham Horror LCG in Tabletop Simulator. I have not updated it in a very long time. This proves how disconnected I am from the game, but doesn't matter. I just want to show you how to import the contents. I still haven't generated the files in English, but you will have them. At the time of recording, I still haven't generated them, but when I publish the video, you will have the files in English as well. To import a deck, you have to go here into Objects, Components, Cards, Custom Deck. Place this around here, right-click, and here you have to do the following for each deck. For the faces, you go here, and here you will see the aspect that the different decks have. Each deck has two images, one for the fronts and other for the backs. The one for the backs has the backs ending in the name. Let's, for example, import the 1A scenario, Strange Currents. We take the faces here. I usually use local. Unique backs, you have to check this as long as the cards have different backs. In Arkham, 99% of the time the cards play with both sides, so you have to check this. And for back, you pick the image with the backs. You also have to take note of one thing. You have to take note of how many rows of cards are in the image. Here you can see that this image has 3 rows of 10 cards each. This is important because you need to set the height slider into the proper number. In this case, it will be 3. And the number width is always 10. And the number is the product of this and this number. 10 times 3 is 30. Here you import, and here you have it. As I'm saying, I still haven't generated them in English, but you will have them when I release the video. What you have to do here, is this. First, once you get the deck, you have to flip it with the F key, and then you have to burn a few cards until you find the first one that actually has something, which is this one. Okay. Then you have to manually separate the different cards. Here is the encounter set for the scenario. Here are a few story assets. Here are the location cards. Then we'll have the act and the agenda. Here is the act. They are in reverse order, as you see, and the agenda. Now, here you have all the pieces of that scenario. Consider that I'm releasing the campaign as if it were an official campaign. So I have one deck for each of the scenarios, and then I have one additional deck with the encounter cards. I'm going to import it as well because you will need it. You will need the modular sets for to play the scenarios. In this case, all the modular sets have the same back, the encounter back. So in this case, we don't have to check the unique backs. Just pick the encounter back. The file had 7 rows and 70 cards. So here you have the encounter cards. Remember, you have to flip it first with the F key, then burn a few cards, and now you can start separating the different cards. I know it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but honestly, I don't have knowledge about how to program, how to script the game. So sadly, that's it. I think that the main meat of the campaign is its mechanical design. Finally, you will need the campaign guide, which is in a PDF file. So you go to Components, Custom PDF, you place it around here, and you just import it. Here is the Spanish version, but again, you will have an English version later on. I don't know why it hasn't done anything. I have to wait a bit. Here it is. I don't know why it shows this small, but you can perfectly scale it up. So you right-click, go to Scale Up. You have to make several clicks until it has a reasonable size. And anyway, you can always pop out the screen, and if you close this first and pop it out and read it here. As I'm saying, you will have an English version of this. Don't worry about that, because I just have not exported it yet. Here you have all the instructions, all the mechanics, how to set up the chaos bug, which you do here. for standard difficulty, I designed the chaos bag with a high number of tokens. This is the aspect of the starting chaos bag. I have a design reason. Behind this. I can explain it if you want, but it's not a topic of this video. And finally, I generally use ArkhamDB for the decks. You just put the IDs here and import them. If you play solo, I generally recommend going multi-handed. I tested the campaign 3-handed, controlling 3 investigators at a time. And if you go multiplayer, you have to know this. You have to know that these are the 4 colors associated with each of the 4 players. I generally use the orange for player 1, investigator 1, white for 2, and green for 3. And if you dare to go with 4 investigators, you will use this red one. I think I have nothing more to say. And well, just one more thing is that I separated the story assets in a different set, which is this one. It will be in English story assets. This doesn't have unique bags. They all use the player bag, just 2 rows and 20 cards. In fact, you may see that some scenario instructions will make reference to some cards that are not present in the set. For example, Strange Currents, this scenario says remove these cards from the game, Elena Marsh and Amulet of the Deep. These ones are not present in the scenario cards because they are not used in the scenario cards, but they belong to that encounter set. If I search them, I think these are the first ones, the first 2 here, the Amulet of the Depths and Elena Marsh. You see that the encounter symbol is the same, but I separated them because I had some issues with the bags, how the application manages the bags of the cards, in particular when you go multi-handed and the game hides the cards that other players have. It gave me several problems, and that's why I separated some of the story assets in this deck. If you don't find them in the specific scenario deck, they will surely be here. And I think I've made sure that only the important story assets are included in the specific decks, but some story assets can be gained in several contexts, some resolutions, but the cards are not used in the scenario itself. So I think that's everything I have to say. No, just one more thing. For the float tokens, you'll need float tokens for the campaign. What I usually do is I download the Instrument Conspiracy, I place and just access the first scenario, go right-click, search, and pick this item here, which is an infinite pile of float tokens. In fact, we can recall this now. In fact, the first scenario has a few locations that enter flooded, which are the Old Pier here, the coastal waters, and the Spectral Island. This one enters partially flooded, this one fully flooded, and this partially flooded. This one have no inherent mechanical effect, but they can be important in some areas. I won't spoil that in this video. Now I do think that I have nothing else to explain here, and of course, if you have any doubt, any question, feel free to ask them in the comments in this video. So let's go back to the presentation and finish this video. So that's it. That's the Rising Tide, my fan-made campaign that explores forbidden knowledge, meaningful player choice, and true cosmic horror. I hope this presentation has given you a clear sense of what the campaign offers and how it plays. Whether you choose to play digitally or you wait or play the physical version, I'd love to hear what you think once you've tried it. If you have any questions, feedback, or you just want to share your experience with this campaign, feel free to leave a comment below. If I have the time and will, I may translate that video I did in Spanish about why the Drowned City didn't work, and maybe bring you some of my projects in English language as well. So those of you who don't speak Spanish can also enjoy some of my games. Let's see if I am a bit more active in this English channel. Honestly, I haven't been pretty active in this channel because I basically lost faith in the official game. I don't think that the game is in the right hands right now, but it looks like you can't talk about this. You cannot be negative. You cannot be honest, not negative, honest about the future of this game, which I think it's pretty dark. I don't honestly see it going back to its glory days. But if I say that, I get called a hater. I get called very nasty things. So I took the decision that of instead of engaging with these bad faith comments or trying to brute force my way into a game that has clearly lost its way, let's do what I've always done with this game, which is turn it into something positive instead of going on with content that will not work. And at least for me, the best thing I could do was this: to spend my time into proving that this game can still be great. The base architecture of the game, as conceived by Nate French in 2016, is still fantastic, still excellent. And if you treat it with care and with love, I think that great things are still possible with this game. And that's what I've tried to accomplish with this family campaign, which I hope is the first of many, and along other projects that I'm showing in my Spanish channel and my blog. And I may also bring them here in English, as long as at least someone finds value in them. So thanks for watching, and till we meet again here at the Arkham Seeker.